My name is Zainab and I am here today to talk to you about a subject that affects every aspect of our lives. A subject that is necessary at every stage of life from childhood all the way until adulthood. A subject that has got a lot of stigma around it, a lot of myths, and this is your mental health. So what is mental health exactly? Well, mental health can be defined as a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively, and can also contribute to his or her own community. A person's mental health can range from being good to bad depending on the different events and the different factors that we face every day in our lives. So it's safe to say that no one person has got a mental health that is 100% good. So this simply means that we all have certain issues, certain disturbances, psychological issues that affect us every day. To the outside world, our lives may look perfect when in reality they really aren't. So a person's mental health can increase or decrease depending on the situations that one is in, the events that one faces. So oftentimes, the times when we feel sad, times when we feel emotionally low, times when we have a low mood, alright, the times when we feel worried. And so these are all normal feelings that a person should feel. This is how our body responds to the different factors that are in our environment, the different situations that we face. However, if these emotions tend to be consistent and persist for a long time, you are said to be mentally unwell. You are said to have a mental disorder or a mental problem. So what is a mental problem? Well, there are various definitions for mental problems, mental health problems, mental health disorders, mental health issues. But I would like to define it as a mental health problem is simply a health condition, a psychological health condition which negatively impacts the way we behave, the way we think, and negatively impacts our mood. So there are various mental health disorders. There are many mental health disorders, but I would love to talk about three main mental disorders that I believe are among the most common mental health disorders. These are namely depression, anxieties, and Ptsd, otherwise known as post-traumatic stress disorder. So let's first talk about depression. This is something that we've all heard of, we've all felt at some point, or we all know someone who's felt it at some point, someone who's experienced it. And maybe in unfortunate cases, someone who took their own life as a result of it. Now, depression is the leading cause of suicide around the world, according to the World Health Organization. Now, what exactly is depression? Depression is a term that is difficult to explain, is difficult to define, because depression might differ from one person to the next. But the most common definition of depression is that depression is an intense feeling of sadness and loss of interest. It affects how you feel, how you think, and how you behave, as well as how you relate to people. So the unfortunate thing about depression is that it's not always easy to tell whether someone is depressed or not. However, there are certain symptoms that we can look for to find out whether someone is depressed or not, and these are excessive crying. Depressed people tend to cry, alright? Now, they might isolate themselves when they are crying, but this is not always the case. There are certain depressed people who tend to joke around a lot, and you might not tell that this person is depressed. Another symptom for depression, mood swings. Alright, a person might abruptly change from being happy to being sad to being angry and vice versa. Now you need to remember that it's not always that when someone has mood swings then they are depressed, because mood swings could also be a symptom for another mental disorder that we'll discuss later on. Another symptom for depression is loss of interest. Depressed people tend to lose interest in things that they usually enjoy doing. Alright, so you need to look out for the symptoms in your loved ones or anyone who's close to you. So another symptom or symptoms is loss of appetite, or in other cases, increase in appetite, which can lead to obesity, and loss of appetite, which can lead to weight loss. So depression disturbs a person's appetite by either increasing it or decreasing it. So these are symptoms that you need to look out for. If a person is excessively gaining weight or is rapidly losing weight, you might want to talk to them and just sit down with them and listen. So far I have described 4 symptoms of depression, namely loss of interest, change in appetite, mood swings, excessive crying. Major disorder that I would love to talk to you about is anxiety. Now, anxiety can be categorized into different types of anxiety. There are many types of anxiety. And in this case, I'm talking about generalized anxiety disorder. Now, anxiety can be defined as an intense feeling of worry, nervousness, and ease about a certain event or about something that has got an uncertain outcome. Now, I would love to talk to you about 4 symptoms of anxiety. Now, you need to remember that these are not the only symptoms. There are countless symptoms for countless mental disorders. But right now, I'll only be talking about 4. And these are rapid breathing. When someone is experiencing an anxiety attack, they tend to breathe really fast, which can be accompanied by sweating. Another symptom is increase in heart rate. While you may not always be able to tell the symptom, because you cannot tell whether someone's heart rate has increased just by looking at them, it will need more invasive methods to do that. Another symptom of anxiety is restlessness. So people having anxiety attacks might fidget a lot, might move around a lot. Alright, now this is not always the case. Someone could be having an anxiety attack and just be calm, and you might not even notice. Another symptom for anxiety attack is feeling dizzy, or in severe cases, person having anxiety attacks might collapse. Now, like I mentioned earlier, that there are different types of anxiety. Now, I'll just mention a few. Different types of anxiety include social anxiety, which is anxiety which occurs when someone is in social situations or is surrounded by a lot of people. Another form of anxiety is phobia. The common phobias that we know: claustrophobia, glossophobia, and so on. Another form of anxiety that a lot of people have but are not aware is illness anxiety. This is where someone is constantly worried about their health, constantly worried that they might have a certain illness. This is where you might, for example, let's say you experience a slight headache, but in your mind you think that it's something worse, you need to go to the doctor right now. Well, this might be good in other cases, but it might severely affect someone's life. Another common form of anxiety, panic disorders. This is where someone experiences frequent panic attacks that are unexpected. So far I have mentioned 3. Another example of a mental health disorder is Ptsd, otherwise known as post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, this is a form of mental health disorder that occurs as a result of a past traumatic event that occurred in the past. This usually occurs when a person fails to recover from a traumatic event. Now, these events could be wars, natural disasters, or abuse. Now, most people in Zambia with PTSD is usually as a result of abuse. This could be sexual abuse, physical abuse, or emotional abuse. Now, the symptoms for PTSD are limitless, or countless, should I say. Symptoms of PTSD include a feeling of guilt, more common among victims of sexual abuse. In this case, they tend to feel that the sexual abuse was their fault, which in reality, it isn't. Another symptom is trouble sleeping. People with PTSD tend to have trouble sleeping, and when they do sleep, they tend to have nightmares. Another symptom is trouble concentrating. They usually have a very short attention span. And people with PTSD, which is now the last symptom, might engage in aggressive behaviors. Remember, that is not always the case. So far I have talked about 3 mental health disorders. namely depression, anxiety, and PTSD. But we keep talking about mental health. How do we boost our mental health? How do you boost your mental health? Well, the first thing you can do, which I believe is the most important thing, is talk to someone. Talk to someone you trust. So talking about your mental health might not only help you, but it might also help the person that you're talking to. Another way to boost your mental health is simply do something that you enjoy doing. It could be listening to music, it could be playing sports, it could be playing chess. Just keep yourself busy and get your mind off whatever is disturbing you. Another way to boost your mental health, which is also very important, is seek professional help. Fortunately, today in Zambia, there are so many organizations that now provide mental health services as compared to the past. So please seek professional help. Another way to boost your mental health is listen. Just listen. If someone comes to you and wants to talk about their mental health, wants to tell you about how they're experiencing depression, listen to them. Listening will also help you. It will also boost your mental health. Knowing that someone else is experiencing something that you also experience will give you that confidence, will give you that peace. Another way of boosting your mental health is avoid situations or people or events that disturb your peace. So we have talked about mental health and mental health disorders or mental health illness. So let's talk about what exactly causes mental health problems. What disturbs our mental well-being? First of all, bullying. Bullying could be online, known as cyberbullying, or it could be physical. This is known to be the number one cause of depression among teenagers. Another one is trauma. Traumatic experiences such as abuse, physical, sexual, or emotional, can lead to mental health disorders. Another one is simply the environment that we live in. Loss of a loved one, chronic illness, natural disasters, or simply witnessing someone else experience a traumatic event that can disturb our mental health well-being. So that's all I had for you today, and thank you for